So should a woman work or not?
If she wants to stay at home, she should have the option to stay at home if she wants to.
So what is femininity? Is it like her taking care of herself, getting her mani-pedi hair done? I mean, what exactly it is?
Because she's able to rest in her natural femininity and she's not having to, okay, I'm masculine now from 9 to 5 and now I gotta find some way to turn that off, and I'm bouncing this every single day, and now I'm masculine, turn that off, and now I gotta try to figure out, okay, I'm home, my man is here, my kid is here, I want to be able to nurture and give that energy that I'm here on earth to give to them.
A man has to go and face the same challenges.
Men do have to deal with that. The question is, who's more equipped to deal with it? Men are more equipped to deal with the aggression because we are the protectors. We are the more masculine.
Are women that fragile?
Oh my God! Are you serious?
Exactly.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
No, you're not.
And relax. That's scary. Meloney P. Talk to him.
Scary with Meloney P. That's scary with Meloney P. Come on. Here we go.
Welcome to another episode of the That's Scary with Meloney P podcast. I am your girl, Meloney P, and we are here with another episode, y'all. This is about to be maybe one of my favorite episodes. And I'm excited. We have two special guests, and these special guests are two Libras, and they are two returning guests, and they're two of one of my top previous shows. We have Morathi and we have Charles, y'all. So we start every episode with a mental health check-in, but before we get to the mental health check-in, y'all, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are a few away from hitting our first 1,000 subscribers, and I'm so excited. There's so much that we have coming down the pipeline, and I'm excited. Some different sponsorships and things like that, so I'm really excited, y'all. But make sure you hit that subscribe button. Now, we start every show with a mental health check-in. Morathi, how is your mental health?
It's amazing. It's amazing. I always feel as though when you eat the correct way and you live the right lifestyle, working out, it all helps your mental to stay in order. So I feel excellent.
Nice. Looking at your Facebook post, it always makes me feel so sad about what my eating choices are, and then it reminds me to grab some. I'm doing better. Your episode was I guess one of my life-changing episodes. Now, granted, I'm still a work in progress. He is still working with me, but that's why I always be reposting your stuff, because I'm everybody needs to see this, because we all got a lot of work to do when it comes to our eating habits, our discipline, and all those things. So I'm just so grateful to be able to repost your stuff. And I know you have a podcast coming out, right?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes,
I'm excited.
I definitely do.
Perfect. And Charles, how is your mental health?
It's good. I mean, I really don't have much to complain about in life. As Morathi said, exercise is one of the biggest releases for me as far as tension and stress. So
nice.
As long as I'm hitting the gym and eating, I'm good.
I'm really excited. We were planning to record this episode last week, but Morathi got so much stuff going on. He has his vegan vibes that we're going to talk about a little bit more towards the end. But he has, taken out time from his weekend, his vegan vibes, to participate in this conversation. And Morathi, I know that you reached out to me about kind of digging more into the conversation. And I know one of the things that I saw on your social media is that, with your podcast, you're going to be very intentional about kind of adding more fuel to this gender wars. And I think I've spoken a lot about that on my podcast recently about, we have to talk about sometimes these hot topics, but I don't want to be a part of the problem. I want to have more conversations. So I posted something on my social media, and I don't even remember what it is I posted, but I saw back and forth when I looked under it, and I was able to catch some screenshots. So just to give the people an idea of what our conversation is going to be about, I'm going to read some snippets from that post and from a little bit from the back and forth. And I want to hear both of you guys' thoughts and opinions, and feel free, there's no wrong answers, there's no right answers. We're just here to educate and have the conversation, right? So I don't know if either one of you recall what I posted, but here was the first response that I saw. And this was from Morathi. According to most men today, all are elder men who took complete care of the household and was the sole provider who went out and did what he had to do to provide for his wife and family was a fool, sucker, dumb, and a simp. According to today's standards, if you talk to any elder men, they will tell you being a man, the standards and the criteria was to be able to take care of his family. In fact, they will tell you that you should not even pursue a woman until you had yourself together to be able to do that. Imagine going up to elder men who were brick masons who did hard manual labor on a daily to be the sole provider and actually, in caps, did that successfully and calling them a simp, fool, or sucker for that. This is why we need to go sit at the feet of our elders so they can teach us a thing or two about life, and maybe all this gender war crap would be far less. My mentor, who has been successfully married for over 50 years and successful in multiple businesses, told me straight up, his wife wants, and in caps, for nothing, and that the least he could do for what he put her through early in the marriage and stayed with him through all of his younger years of mess ups. He made it so all she has to do is be in the garden, book a vacation, be a loving wife, mother, grandmother, and be in her most feminine qualities, because a woman who feels safe and secure can give you her most feminine qualities. And when I met her, when I tell you she was smiling, look, the way I'm smiling from ear to ear, and I'm like, let me take myself out of it, girl. Come out and served us all types of fruit, crackers, salads, and fresh juices. Man, listen. He said, son, listen, don't listen to this new school crap on relationships. Take it from me. A happy wife for a husband is a happy life for the house. You have set the rest of your head, or you have to rest your head with your wife. Now, that was Morathi. And I saw Sir Charles respond, and his response was, why should one person take on the responsibility of a family if both adults are working? Shaking my head, times have changed. Morathi's response, because her real job is to be a nurturer first, teacher to the children, doctor, nutritionist to the family. Because what she feeds a family will dictate the health of the family. What she teaches a child will dictate the behavior of the child, and how she nurtures the child will dictate their emotional intelligence, and how she doctors the children up and the husband will dictate how fast he can get back on his feet to be the man he's supposed to be. There used to be a class in school called home economics because they knew that taking care of the home was a full-time job within itself. The man is always and will always be the protector, provider, and the woman will always be what I just named. Now, that's just all the snips I can get from the conversation. So who wants to go first in just their thoughts and opinions? Morathi, I mean, I can start with you because I know you had a lot of, strong convictions and thoughts about, kind of the gender wars and what a man's role is in a household. And I know, Charles, you had a lot of, opinions about that too. So where can we get started here, y'all? Where can we get started?
First of all, thank you for having me on your podcast again. It's always a pleasure to be on your podcast. Love seeing how it's growing and taking off in so many different ways. And Charles, it's very nice to meet you, brother, my Libra brother. Yes. Actually, you reposted that. I put that on my page. Mm-hmm. You reshared on your page. That's how it came up.
Thank you.
However, I first of all, my dad was in and out of prison ever since I was 6 years old. So he's for about I would say up till I was 30 years old. I used to have to go and visit my dad in prison, all the time. And so I had a chance me and my brother, we had a chance to have conversations with him about life, about decisions. And if you don't want to end up in here, this is what you don't do. Right. And if you end up in here, this is there are certain actions that can have you in here.
Right.
So which made me go a total different direction in life, where it made me felony free, never been in jail, any of those things by just having that time. But on my dad's side of the family, my grandmother had 12 children.
Oh, wow.
And on on my mom's side of the family, my grandmother, grandfather had 15 children, and it was 9. I had 9 uncles.
Mm-hmm.
So my grandfather was one of the in our community. He was the most successful brick mason in the community. So he built most of the houses in the community and things of that nature, and also he taught his sons all this trade. So even though my father wasn't around, I was around these type of men, right? So I would be working on their job. I'd be working on the jobs with them, just getting the shingles, moving them out the way, pushing barrels and all those type of things. So, and all of them were married. You know what I'm saying? And so the way that I was taught about manhood and the way that I was taught that a man should be was by men that are all still successfully married, or the wife has passed away. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that would always be my standard at how I look at relationships and how they go. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And when I look at the success rate of those marriages, you know, when you look at the success rate of those marriages, it's far more than where we are right now. With this new idea of how we think that roles should go in relationships and how they should go. So I see a success rate that has happened amongst our elders that's not happening now. America right now has the lowest, the highest divorce rate in the whole entire world.
Right about that.
Right. So then I had a chance to go and live in Africa for 11 years. So when I went over to Africa to live, I had a chance to see African men and how African men deal with their women and how African men take care of their families. And not only that, you had a chance to see, because every race of people come into Africa. Indians, the only ones I didn't see is Hispanics, but I saw them over here. Indians, Russians, you name them. And in every single dynamic, it's always the male being the sole provider, him being the provider and the protector of the family. So I never knew how that we ended up in this circumstance that we are in America right now, that we do anything different than where the other cultures are successful at doing it. You get me? So that's always been my point. Because I don't see the success rate in marriages in this mind state that we're dealing with right now. That was my point on it.
Right. And when you say sole provider, can you explain what that means?
What I mean by sole provider is that when I come to the table, I'm coming to the table as the person that's going to take care of everything that needs to go on in that household. Whether it be the bills, whether it be providing the food, all those things. That's my job to do. Wow. Right now. That's not to say that I want that a woman's get to come into the house and just sit on her butt and not do anything. Right? That's not. I'm an entrepreneur. Right. So any woman that comes into my life, she has to be able to help my business to multiply. Because if you give a woman something, especially a black woman, she's going to help it to multiply.
So true.
You can talk to most black women, and they can tell you they've been with men who were lawn care providers, different ways to do their business. And their job as a woman is to, okay, let's go. I'm gonna go out and find these contracts for you. Right. I'm gonna order the best equipment that you need to be able to be successful out there. She has a job and she's gonna maintain that job, but I'm not gonna put the same type of pressure on her that I'm gonna put on myself to be the provider. Because at the end of the day, a black woman, when she becomes pregnant and she got to give that baby, she can lose her life. Right. So how would I come to her talking about she got to go 50-50 with me, but she could potentially lose her life just giving me a child. That alone is not going to let me make her go 50-50. Jesus. For me. Right. That's me.
I love it. Yeah. Charles, what say you? Because I know that, over the years we've had a lot of conversations about this. I want to hear your opinions to what Morathi was saying.
So basically, she's saying that the man. Well, what does the woman do? First of all, she is a homemaker. Is that right? She doesn't work at all.
No, I never said that she doesn't work, because, like I said, I'm
asking.
No.
I'm asking a question.
Nah, mine was not. Is not my mind. Mine will work
towards your business, as you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. Towards helping out my business to be successful.
Okay. So let's broaden this because you're just talking about yourself. Let's broaden this because most Americans work for other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So we're talking about the husband works and the wife does what? Is she a homemaker or what's the case in that?
I think he was saying the wife is working to, in his case, because I feel like we're talking about two different cases. So in his particular case, working to help his entrepreneurial goals flourish in his case.
Yeah, and I understand that. So that's why I'm saying, like, we're going to make this
universal,
more universal.
Mm-hmm.
For most people. Most people work for someone else,
right?
So we're talking about a 2-adult household where the man goes to work for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So, in his opinion, should a woman work or should she not work?
Mm.
In my opinion, that's based on the dynamics of somebody else's relationship, right? So I'm not here to dictate or the dynamic of somebody else's relationship. But when I come in, right, if I look at the dynamics of a black woman being out in the work field, right? You can go to most black women and they'll tell you that when they have to go out and be a certain way out in the work world, we'll say the white man's world. Right?
Yeah.
When she goes out, sometimes they'll admit and tell you it's hard for them to cut that switch off to become back feminine, how they're supposed to be in the household because they are dealing with so much masculine energy out in the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like you only get half of who she is because she's having to deal with these different roles where she has to be out. Maybe she is a supervisor over all these men. Let's just say that I talked to women that work in the prison industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some beautiful women, but they are what you call them, the guards.
The guards, yeah.
Guards.
Mm-hmm.
I just talked to a woman who was 52 years old, beautiful sister. She was in a marriage. She said one of the hardest things that was for her to be able to work in a prison and have to deal with all that aggressive masculine energy and then have to come home and try to cut that switch off to deal with her husband.
Jesus. Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was too much for her to be able to balance because in all actuality, even when a woman steps outside of her natural role and she has to go into a more aggressive role, it actually throws her hormones off. It actually throws off the whole balance of who she is that she's supposed to be naturally.
I just read this a couple of months ago and I was floored. I did not think that was a real thing. A friend of mine sent this to me a few months ago.
Yes. So
well, I know two people. I know two people that are sheriffs downtown, and both of them are pretty feminine. So, but go ahead.
Yeah, I actually know one too that was in Concord. She quit the whole thing, and now she's a flight attendant. And we talk all the time about, damn, I feel so much more feminine. So it could just be a matter of those type of, whatever their mind state is.
However, sorry. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just telling y'all before we started that we had a conversation about this, and I literally posted a podcast about this last night at like midnight because to parallel this to myself, right now I work a 9 to 5, which is more than 9 to 5 most days, and it's put me in I'm in a toxic, discriminatory environment all day. I am anxious. I'm dealing with a lot of different things, like mental things right now because of the stress and the trauma, like real life trauma that I'm having to endure all day. I'm the only black person in my department. I'm the only black woman. I'm the only person over the age of like 38 in my department. And I have never experienced this of what I'm experiencing now. So blatant, really pure racism, honestly, in my face. And when you were talking about femininity, that just really spoke to me because I'm having to fight with people all day, like all day. And I'm not only having to fight with people, but I'm having to defend myself almost like a lawyer. And then when I get off and I go get my child and I come home, I'm totally depleted, right? I'm totally depleted. I really have nothing else to give but, to spend some time with my daughter and, my man and stuff like that. But when we talk about women being able to rest in their femininity, I hear what you're saying about certain roles, because we kind of talked about, one person that you knew that went from being I think you said someone that worked in the law enforcement, and now she has a different job. And so now she's able to more express and just stay in her femininity. That is a really, really true thing. And I did not fully understand, number one, sometimes we feel like stereotypically we always talk about, black women in the workplace or black men in the workplace, whatever. But until you experience that first, like head on yourself, you may not get the trauma that you're dealing with and how it's affecting you in the worst way. So I totally understand what you mean about that as far as like a woman and losing her femininity. But I'm really curious to see, Charles, your thoughts on that.
Well, back to what I was asking. Mm-hmm. So should a woman work or not? If her husband worked for somebody, so should she stay at home?
I mean, I thought I gave you my answer. To me, if she wants to stay at home, she should have the option to stay at home if she wants to. Yeah.
Okay, so she stays at home, basically. Okay, so what is femininity? You talked about that, So what is that? When it comes to a relationship and the workplace, is it like her, like just taking care of herself, getting her mani-pedi hair done? I mean, what exactly it is?
I think I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, no, you go ahead and answer that.
Well, I was just saying, like for me, it kind of goes to what I just said, right? So when in a perfect world, right, if I had to work, which I have I don't mind working. I'm gonna work regardless. I'm gonna be doing something to add value and to add something, financially to my household regardless, right? But when you're in this toxic environment, and let's say in a perfect world, I wasn't in that toxic environment, then I would get off. I would be able to focus on my man, focus on actually cooking, healthy meals. My energy would be more in that feminine space to where a man and a woman give off two different things. You have the masculine, you have the feminine. And to me, when that's off balance, whether or not in this example, like I'm working, so I'm kind of in my masculine all day. So I have to turn that off and attempt to be more in a feminine, to bring that feminine energy. And we all know what that is, to bring that feminine energy into the household. We know the difference between a man who doesn't have a woman in the household and a man in a household that has a woman. We have to kind of be honest with that. We know the difference. We know the difference when, like in that first piece that I was reading from Morathi, like he said that woman has a smile on her face. She's, serving her man, serving his friends, I'm certain not because she has to, but because she's able to rest in her natural femininity, and she's not having to, okay, I'm masculine now from 9 to 5, and now I got to find some way to turn that off. And I'm bouncing this every single day, on top of the fact that I'm, for me, in traumatic, racist, discriminatory energies all day. And now I'm masculine, turn that off. And now I got to try to figure out, okay, I'm home. My man is here. My kid is here. I want to be able to nurture and give that energy that I'm here on earth to give to them. But I'm going to be honest, I'm not giving that to them because of what I'm dealing with in my 9 to 5.
Let me say, that's not exclusive to women.
Okay.
A man has to go and face the same challenges, sometimes even more. Mm-hmm. And then the fact that if he has a child at home, he still has to come home and turn that off and be daddy. He still has to come home and cater to his woman, whether his woman works or not. Mm-hmm. He still has to be there for her, to listen to her. And women are naturally more emotional than men. So he has to tap into that from being at work 9 to 5 or however many hours he's working, he has to come in and tap into that part of himself.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say that, a woman has to do this and then turn it off, that's not exclusive just women.
No, I'm not saying it's exclusive,
Men
right?
do it too.
But let me give you this example. That man who was in that environment that we're talking about, that was facing all these adversities, would he rather come home to a woman in a household that is, made and comfortable for him, and now she's able to nurture and fill in those gaps to where he had to fight all day? Or would he rather come home to, now they both men, and I mean, I'm joking, but I'm not. Like, they're both in the same space all day, and now they're both kind of fighting each other. Like, I don't know. Morathi, what was you about to say?
I definitely get where Charles is coming from. Yes, men do have to deal with that. The question is, who's more equipped to deal with it? Men are more equipped to deal with the aggression because we are the protectors. We are the more masculine. So we're able to deal with it better than a woman is, because a woman doesn't supposed to be in that mind state. So Minister Farrakhan, see, one thing about me, man, is like where I sit and listen to Minister Farrakhan, elder men that have been successful in how they go about it. And even I always use the Nation of Islam as the highest standard of what we look at in marriage, because the Nation of Islam, if you look at the Christian our people in the Christian belief system and our brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam belief system, there's a total difference in energy. There's a total difference in health. There's a total difference in relationships. Nation of Islam they have the highest standard of successful marriages. And one thing that Minister Farrakhan would always say is that women, when your husband comes home from work, look like something. have certain things in order. So when he comes in, all he gotta do is he can kick his shoes off, and you can rub him and treat him the way he's supposed to from having a hard day of work. Because the woman's job is to come in and relieve that stress, because she's supposed to be his peace. So even if the woman is at home doing whatever she's doing, that's the reason why elder women would say when they came home, the house was in order. It was clean. Right? Food was already made. So when that man came home, even if he was frustrated, he knew he came home to a peaceful household. He didn't come home to yapping this and yapping that and yapping this. He came home to being greeted for having to go out here and fight in the world like that. So when it comes to kids, do you have any kids, Charles?
No, I don't have no kids.
Okay. I'll tell you something. If you do decide to have children, this is what you're going to see. You can ask, is your mother still living?
Yeah, she's still living.
Okay. Go to your mother and ask her who gets pulled more by when it comes to the children. When you was a child, who did you pull for more? I can tell you the answer.
Women pull for.
That's right. The babies are going to pull for the mother more than they will the father, because the mother carries the child. She's the one that nurtures them. She's the one that feeds them. So whenever the baby starts, if the baby got a toothache, if the baby hurt in any of that, it's going to cry for mommy first. So automatically those roles that even if we have to be the father, we don't have the same work that they have to give that they have to give to the baby, because the baby automatically calls for the mother more. I have 2 boys, right? And as much as I love my boys, and as much as I'm a single full-time dad, I have them on my own. So as much as that I can be that man to teach them how to be a certain way, to teach them what it means to be a man out here in society, I still understand and know, and I talk to my ex-wife about all the time, the nurturing aspect that the boys always need from them, because from her, because she was the one that she birthed them. So in the middle of the night, when the sleeping going on and that baby get up and get to crying, you can't give that baby milk if if the baby's getting breastfed. You got to wake her up and say, hey, it's time for the baby to be fed.
Well, they have balls for that, but
everybody doesn't do that though. Everybody doesn't do that. Some people don't want to do that.
Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Being a parent, or if you're in a 2-parent household, is not exclusive for one person to raise the child. Whether the father goes out all day, when the father comes home or on the weekends, he still spends time with that child. And if you have young men, as young men grow older, they push away from their mother and move more toward their father. They start spending time with them.
You talking to a man who got them. So you're not talking to somebody. Your experience of what you see. I'm not cutting you off, but when it comes to parenting, you really can't talk to me about that experience because you're not a parent. You can only speak about certain things that you saw, but you haven't yet to have a child. So you can't that experience.
Let me stop you there.
And just to say, there's a little bit of a delay, so in case you think somebody's cutting you off, there's a tad bit of a delay. So.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm not a parent, but I have a sibling that, she's a single parent. She has a son. Her son actually lives with me now. So here's the thing. So you tell me that I don't know this or that. I understood when my nephew got to a certain age, he started acting out in a certain way. And him being a male and she being a female and me being a male, I understood that as a man, I had to step in. And my nephew spent a lot of time with me. He would spend the night with me. We would be playing video games all night, but I understood what he needed as far as discipline. Mm-hmm. And my mom and I think we were at Christmas or something like that. And then my sister told my nephew to do something. He didn't fuss. And me and my brother were in the room. He didn't fuss. He didn't do nothing. He just did what he was told to do. And they said, oh, well, because your uncles are here, there's no back talk. And see, I understood that. I understood that from a very young age. So you try and tell me that young boys, even young women, they still need the man to be active in their life because he brings a certain amount of structure and a certain amount of discipline to that child without even saying anything. Just his presence alone.
That's true.
Adds to that. Okay, I have to go back and let me explain to you my journey. Okay. My boys were born in Africa. Okay. I brought my boys over here at 2 and 4 with their mother. But my dream was to be in Africa. So I told their mother that, okay, if you're going to come over here, because African families are always more structured, most of her family is down in Texas. Mm-hmm. So she went down to Texas, and the fathers are still around, uncles are still around. So they were down in Texas while I was building in Africa. Okay. My youngest was acting out in school. Right? So I did what I was supposed to do and packed my bags up, came back over to America, and me and my wife had a discussion. And I told my wife, look, you're not even privy to America. You don't even know anything about America. I know about America. So let's go ahead and you give me the boys. I've had my boys since they were 6 and 7. No, 5 and 6. Because of what you're talking about. Because they needed the structure. Because I know that what they got to face out here in the world. I'm a black man that has lived in America. So I know if they're not getting taught right or if they're not being disciplined right in the household, somebody else going to discipline me. And they may not discipline with the same love that I'm going to give them.
Exactly.
Right? But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, but that's kind of proving my point that, you were saying that, as a baby, yeah, they cling to their mother. But as they grow older, especially young boys, they need that father figure. So you going to work and come home and kicking your shoes off and relaxing. That's not the case. When you come home, you have to participate in the establishment of your family.
Right.
Yes, I totally agree. I totally agree to that. But my boys, I have two boys, right? So in the same light, my two boys are like best friends. Mm-hmm. So they get to spend a lot of time with each other as brothers, right? And I come in and I'm gonna ask them about school. We're gonna sit down and we're gonna discuss how the things go. We get certain things I'm gonna discuss with them. Mm-hmm. Whenever I get that free time throughout the weekend and stuff like that, then we go and have more of the father-son type of relationships where I get to take them to the movies. I get to take them and do extracurricular things with them. They're in AAU and things of that nature. However, again, when it comes to the calling of how the structure is set up, we can never have the closer bond with the mother with the kids as the mother does.
Right.
That's a prime example. Most NBA players, whenever they get their money, what's the first thing they say? I'm going to buy mama a house.
Right.
I'm going to get mommy this. I'm going to get mommy that because mommy, you did all this. Mommy.
Right.
So it's always the fact that the man that even to the fact that if when there is disagreements going on in the household, I automatically sided with my mother more than I sided with my father. I automatically wanted to protect her before I wanted to protect my dad.
Right. And that's understandable. That's completely understandable.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say that's completely understandable. If your parents are having a disagreement, then of course you want them to settle it, but you want to protect your mother because your mother is more vulnerable to whatever. You know, the man is the more dominant between the both. Well, for the most part. But when you say the thing about basketball players, now, if a basketball player was raised by a single mother, of course. You know, if he has both parents, they'll say, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to buy my parents a house. You know, he doesn't, like, exclude his dad. If his parents were married, he doesn't exclude his dad and say, oh, I'm going to buy my mama a house, you know, forget my dad. No, he doesn't. That's not the case.
So just to kind of bring it kind of back. So my question for you, Charles, is there anything that, you know, that Morathi has said that you understand in terms of the household and like has your opinion kind of swayed, right? So let's say hypothetically, you know, you were married, you had a few children. Do you still feel like your wife should be working, you should be working, and that's where you stand?
That's where I stand, and it's for good reason. It's not just for, you know, like, hey, you know, go to work, woman. There's nothing like that.
Even if you were in a space financially to where she didn't have to work, you would still feel that way?
It's like this. I can handle all the bills in my house. Mm-hmm. But because of we live in a society where everything goes up. We had inflation, we had a recession, we had COVID, we had all that stuff. So for me to not prepare, which if you're the man of the house and you're a provider, right? Mm-hmm. To me, a provider means more than just money. Mm-hmm. As a provider, I see everything that's going on in the world, and I'm like, okay, we need to get ahead of this. I was talking to one of my customers at work, and he said, I asked him, you know, before when I heard about that I was going to do the podcast. I was like, well, you know, like, how do you feel about that? He said, yes, like, he agrees that the man should pay the bills. And I agree, like, if you can. But this is the other thing he told me. He says his wife works. His wife basically takes care of vacations when she can. But she also provides for the future. Mm-hmm. So when I say that, they bought a car like five years to pay on it. Mm-hmm. They paid it off in 2 years. So, and he said they have a 30-year mortgage. She's paying on that, and he said that they will pay off their mortgage between 15 and 20 years.
Wow.
So instead of paying the mortgage off for 30 years because she wants to go out and, spend her money on Louis or Red Bottoms or whatever, she's
Nobody's
paying
saying
and securing their future.
That's a stereotype, but go ahead. That's a stereotype.
Yeah. See. My thing is when you see every time that when I listen to what you were saying back, it's like your perspective of how you see the black woman when she's not in what you would consider to be working mode is like it's a stereotype that I disagree with, right? Because I don't see. Well, me personally, I'm not looking for the black woman that's out here that's wanting to be out here still spending on Louis and stuff. I'm not
right.
dealing with that type of black woman.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For me, it's about nation building. Get me? And so it's about a certain type of woman that will be able to handle that nation building. And so I look at it from a perspective that because she's the first teacher and she's the first nurturer and she's the first doctor and nutritionist of the family, that if I get that aspect right and I can make sure that foundation is correct, then I know what I'm going to get out of my kids. I know what I'm going to get out of myself. I know because she understands her foundational role in that. So I'm not in the materialistic realm of women. I go in the opposite direction when it comes to those type of women. So those are if you're talking about those type of women who just want to sit on their butt and just be lazy but go out and just shop. If a man brings that type of woman to his life, he gets exactly what he deserves. You get what I'm saying?
But that's why I asked you. That's why I asked you before. What is she going to do? And you really didn't give me a clear answer. So I mean, I just kind of made up whatever.
I can only go back to the road. I can only go back to the road because see, it is said that if a woman truly, an elder told me that if a woman truly loves you, when you say it's time to go pack up and go here, the only thing she's supposed to say is, where you want me to put the stakes down in the ground? That's the only question she's supposed to ask. So he said, if that's what she says, then you're supposed to take that woman in because that woman really love you.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
I am so sorry because here's the thing. I know you both. I know Charles a little bit more, but I feel like I know you both. And here's one thing that we're kind of missing. I feel like, and this is just a woman speaking, in a perfect world, right? One thing I know about both of y'all is y'all are both masculine men, right? Both of you guys can build and, give me masculine energy, right? But that's not common. I mean, I hate to say that, but a lot of men out here aren't giving a women environment where if my man told me, and I'm not saying about mine, I'm just saying in general, if he said to go pack, I got 1,000 questions because, he isn't giving that provider role that sounds so great. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to think about that too, because you both might be the kind of men who have a plan and, can build stuff and do all these things. I'm just, reaching whatever. But I just feel like that's not common anymore. So that might also play a factor in why women are having to step more into these masculine roles, unfortunately.
And I mean, I don't disagree. I think if a man has a plan, then he should inform her of what that plan is. He shouldn't just like, hey, just follow me, wherever I go, you go. You should be able to convey in a very artistic way of what your plan is. That way she can understand. She can understand where she's going.
Right.
I mean, I don't believe in just blindly leading somebody or blindly following somebody. I don't believe in that.
Now, Morathi, you speak a lot about provider, right? And here's something that I'm interested to know your answer to. So if in your scenario, if you're the provider, you are the financial provider and the provider holistically, right? What are some other expectations that you have of your wife, right? Because I'm just curious to know, like, is your mentality, and I don't know, so I'm asking, is your mentality like, sometimes we'll hear men talk like that, and it's like they are the boss, for lack of better words, or, if I say we got to move, then we got to move because, I'm the provider, and I understand that it might be, I'll listen to what you say, but it's my final word. I am the head. Like, how does that look in your dynamic? Like, do you believe in hearing your partner's opinions and then you guys collaborating and, kind of partnering on decisions that are made? Or do you feel more so that if you are in that provider role, it's your way or the highway? And I don't mean like that. That's kind of drastic, but you get what I'm saying.
Without a shadow of a doubt, I don't even hold the same intuitive energy that a woman holds.
Mm-hmm.
So I could never go into something and not hearing out and gaining her wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
I would be a fool, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are certain dynamics and weaknesses that she's going to see in me that I don't even see in myself. The women observe us. If a man really wants to know his flaws and his weaknesses, bring a woman into the household, because she's going to sit back and she's going to observe every single thing about you to be able to and depending on what type of woman it is, going to let you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there are certain weaknesses in me that she's supposed to be able to see to be able to help me to become stronger. The thing is, behind every man there's a strong woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, any of them, they listen to Coretta, they listen to their wives to give them the wisdom of what they needed to be able to go out there and fight that battle. So go ahead, brother.
I completely agree with that. This is my personal observation as far as men and women, the dynamics. Even with myself, like I'll have a big picture of what I want to have done, but like my sister or my mom or someone I'm dating, they may fill in all the little details, which is very important. So that's why I say.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's why I say that's why I say I would share. Like I wouldn't just say, "Hey, pack up, we're going." Like I want to give you this plan that I have, this vision that I have, and get your input because you might have some details that I missed.
Right.
That is, so when you ask me what's her job, that's my woman's job. When I bring the plan and I have this plan, she be like, no. Did you think about this? Did you think about that? Damn, babe, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
You got this covered. You got that covered. Damn, I ain't think about that. So in Vegan Vibe Music Series, me being the CEO of this event we've been successful doing for 6 years, I got my older sister and my cousin. And they are the ones, my sister runs all the vending, make sure all the vending is in order, making sure the finances run the correct way. She handles all of that, right? My cousin is over the sound. She gets all the music. She makes sure the sound gonna be correct. She gonna make sure all that's gonna be done. All Morathi got to do is go out here and be the face and pass out flyers. Really, my job is the easiest. You know what I'm saying? But at one point in time, I was operating in ego. No, Shit just missing this and that. They just sat back and fold their arms. Okay, you got it. So I realized. So then it made me realize, like, damn, okay. If I don't recognize that my sister or a black woman can take what I have and multiply it, what do I have her for? So the way that the way your plan is gonna be multiplied is by her seeing the small things to be able to make sure it go the correct way. Because most of the time we gonna miss it because we got to be out there in the world most of the time. So that's the job I expect a woman to play when she comes into my life. So if a woman comes into I'm a full-time entrepreneur, so I want to eventually I'm gonna have there's certain vegan industries certain restaurants that want me to be a brand ambassador for them. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have a Vegan Love Culture Foundation, which is a nonprofit, and we have Vegan Vibe music series that we want to take on the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if a woman comes in and steps in and sees everything that I have going on, I want to be able to look at her and say, hey, what do you see that we can be doing better, or that I can be doing better? And then I'm going to take her wisdom, and then I'm going to apply that into my life. Go ahead.
So let's bring this into reality, because what we're doing is a lot of perfect world scenarios, right? Meloney, do you have a computer you can pull up information?
Yeah.
Okay. So you had mentioned the guy was a brick mason, right? Morathi?
People calling in. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. People calling in, and I thought I put it on do not disturb, but I guess I left something off.
That's all good, man. So you said that the guy was a brick mason, right?
The who, my grandfather,
or the gentleman that you talked to his wife?
Oh no, that's my mentor. He's a successful, he's in Goldsboro. He's one of the most successful black businessmen in Goldsboro. If that's what you talk.
I get where you're going with this. How much does he make? What's his income? I feel like he about to ask that.
Exactly.
Well, he built.
So let's
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No.
It's a delay, so go ahead, Charles.
So you had mentioned a brick mason. So Meloney, pull up the income of a brick mason in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Here we go.
I mean,
homework.
We don't even got black men to do that before. We don't even do that.
But it's a career.
Apply that to Mexicans, because the Hispanics, they're the ones building the houses now. We're not doing that no more.
Yeah, the average salary is between 43 and 58 a year.
58. So 43 starting now. So we're gonna say there's a guy 25 years old. He's a brick mason. Let's start him out at $50,000 a year. It's him, his wife. They got a kid on the way. Is that enough to run a household?
No, it's not. And that's if you say let's deal with reality, you can't use that as a reality standpoint if that's not our reality, brother. That's not our reality no more.
I'm talking about. Well, see, you're speaking to like what 10% of the people or the audience of the audience. You may be speaking to like 5% of the audience. So your target audience is very small. I'm talking to a larger audience.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you guys are saying a lot of the same things. I think the difference is we have entrepreneur and then we also have a 9-to-5er. And I think that's...
Well, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm just, me personally, I'm just more focused on knowing that I get the best out of my woman when she's in her most feminine nature. That's what I want. And I know that I'm going to get the best out of her in her most feminine nature when she ain't got to go out there and fight them white boys all day. Because I can't fight those battles for her.
Right. So let me ask you a question. Let's say hypothetically, because I kind of feel where Charles is going with this. Let's say that you had a household and it was you, your wife, 2 or 3 kids, and you was bringing in $40,000. And based off what you just said, if that wasn't enough for your household, do you feel like you would be like, okay, let me get a side hustle so I can supplement that? Or would you be like, okay, now it's time for her to work?
You asking me that question?
Mm-hmm.
I'm always going to go over and beyond to be able to take care of what I need to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I'm going to do regardless. Right. So I'm going to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been the type of man to come to a woman, even if she came and she had, because I've dated women that had more money than me, been more successful than me and everything. I've never looked at that money to be my money at all.
Mm-hmm.
I never said, oh, she got this money, or I know she gonna get me a car. I just never thought that
right
way. You get what I'm saying? So I've always been the type of person to be this type of man that I am.
Mm-hmm.
However, I am saying if I was in a position where I was only making $40,000 a year,
mm-hmm.
of course I'm gonna go to my wife and say, hey, do you mind picking up so we can have more finances in the house. I'm not gonna. But I'm saying that doesn't change the foundation of what I'm saying, brother. I might go and ask her, but she may only do that temporarily. I'm not gonna keep requiring that from her because I already know what it's gonna do to her when she got to go out there in society. I'm not gonna get the best of her. I'm not.
So y'all are saying the same thing.
She's gonna be more emotional and everything. Like I'm just and I know what I call for. I know what I call for when I come home to a woman. If I'm gonna be committed to her, and she's gonna be the woman that I'm gonna be with, that I'm gonna want to have sex with, right? I hope that I'm gonna get. If she's out there having to deal with society, there's gonna be a lot of times where she's gonna roll over and she'll be like, I don't feel like it. What am I supposed to do then? You know what I'm saying? So my needs are what I would want from my woman. I know that I feel like I'm gonna get the best from her. Is the more pressure that I take off of her. I guess that's the right. I want to take the pressure off of her.
I see that.
You get what I'm saying?
Well, this is the thing, though. Maybe as an entrepreneur, you can do that, and a lot of entrepreneurs, they went out of business with COVID and with the recession. So a lot of people, suffered because of that. And the reality is, no matter how much a person wants to take care of their wife and have them relax, the reality of life is that's not going to always be the case. And
I agree.
It's less, more and more and more.
But is that the goal? Is that your goal? Would that be your goal? To take the pressure off of your woman?
My goal is to protect the family. So that's my goal. So knowing what I know, she doesn't have to get a job that's very difficult. She gets whatever, something, work from home. But my thing is, we're in this house. We have a 30-year mortgage. You don't have to pay the mortgage, but put something extra on it so we can cut down the time.
But it almost sounds like you're more focused on what 30 years from now could be versus her mental state today, right? Because you might not even make it 30 years from now, but she could be dying or miserable every day because she want to help you pay that mortgage down. So I feel like, I don't know, and tell me, right? But I don't know if how you look at the woman's, like, I don't feel like I'm hearing that conversation from you as far as what I've said about, and what Morathi said about the woman being able to operate in her femininity and kind of taking that pressure off of her. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because I feel like that makes 100% sense, right? Versus, okay, well, in 30 years, I want to make sure that I ain't pay this mortgage for 30 years. I want to only pay it for 15 years. But like, is that the goal, or is the mental health of your partner more so the goal and the focus?
Are women that fragile?
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Exactly.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
No, you're not. I know plenty of successful.
Time out. I'm about to really bring this to the forefront. When I first bought my second property, did I not call you from the Lowe's aisles with tears in my eyes because I was so overwhelmed because as a woman, I was stuck and I needed a man to help me, and you telling me that women aren't more fragile?
No, I said, are they so fragile that they can't work just a basic job? That's my question. I know plenty of women that are successful and they handle it very well. They're not out there, struggling as far as with their job and their mental state. But they work.
Right.
So it's not like, you're trying to make it seem like, oh, she works, she's going to fall to pieces. Like,
nobody said that. I did not say that. I'm not saying that, but the option, right? So the option. So again, let's bring it back to me. Like right now, I'm in a space where I am, again, it's a very bad space with work, very bad, very traumatic, right? And I actually have the option right now to not have to be in that space because of my man. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I have that option. And what I'm saying is not all women really have that option, but is that the goal? If you and your woman, you and your wife are together and you see that, okay, y'all are fussing and fighting, she's saying no whenever it's time to have sex, it's all this drama, then you as the man, as the head, as a provider is going to be like, okay, listen, I don't want you feeling this way. If I got to go out and work 2 jobs, then I don't want you feeling this way. In the meantime, you go try to find something else, but I'm going to take on this pressure and this load off of you because I know the value of you and what you bring to the household, and your mental health is more important than you having to be in a stressful situation and then bringing that into the household, into the children, into the family. That has to make sense. You have to agree with that. I know you agree with that.
So what doesn't make sense is that you're putting everything on the man. And like, there's no balance in what you guys are saying. There's no balance. So you're like, hey, if you had to work 2 or 3 jobs while I get my mental and just do whatever, then do that.
But it all depends on the woman.
I don't get that.
It all depends on the woman. So in our episode, what did I say? I said that even if I did not have to work, I'm the kind of woman that I'm not going to ever just sit on my ass and see, and not provide some type of something to the household financially, right? Like, I'm that kind of woman. So, I mean, everybody is different, but I know a lot of Black women are just like me. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's not like, oh, I'm just going to be sitting here and watching my man struggle. I ain't going to never watch my man struggle ever, no matter what I got to do, because that's not the kind of woman that I am. You know what I'm saying? Like we discussed this before.
And that's why I asked, what is the woman's role in this dynamic? That's why I asked that question, but I never really got a straight answer. Like, what is she doing? Is she like, okay, let's say, for instance, you got 2 kids. Mm-hmm. 2 kids are in grade school. So I understand, like, hey, you want to get a part-time job because you don't want to sit at the house all day. That's cool. But if you sit at the house all day, just wait for the kids to get home from school, I understand that, hey, clean up a little bit, whatever. But my thing is, like, what is the contribution aside from the kids? Because the kids aren't going to be babies forever.
God. What's the contribution? Are you kidding me? Like, I work 9 to 5, but at the end of the day, what I should actually be doing on top of my 9 to 5 is nurturing my child, nurturing my man, cooking, cleaning, making sure the house is clean, doing all. I mean, I can go on and on and on. That's why he said, I agree with both of y'all. So let me just say, I agree with both y'all. Both have great points. But at the end of the day, me being a woman who is actually in this space, there's a whole lot that I'm having to do double when I get off versus my man when he get off. It's a whole lot. And if you have, I don't know your situation, but when there's a woman in the household, a lot of times she's doing a whole lot more. So she really has low-key 2.5 jobs to your 1.
No. Like, I'll use myself as an example. I work 50 hours a week, but my house is clean. Mm-hmm. I got some dishes, a little bit of dishes in there in the sink, but they're clean dishes, they're drying. So I think that the man doesn't just go to work and come home. The man has a responsibility to his home once he gets home. Mm-hmm. His responsibility is to contribute to cleaning the house. If he can cook, the guy I told you about earlier, he said that his wife doesn't cook because he's a better cook. So he works, then goes home, mm-hmm. tends to the children, and he cooks because he's a better cook. Me, I come home, I make sure my house is clean. I cook because I'm single. So if I'm dating somebody, if I'm married to a woman, she's not going to be the only one doing the household chores or household taking care of the house.
But it's kind of easy to say that and I don't know your experience, but it's much easier to run a household if it's just me in there and maybe somebody staying every now and again versus 3 kids, a man, and all types of things happening and we're both working. So I think it's, I don't know if you've experienced that, but it's much easier. You know what I'm saying? To come home and just keep your stuff clean versus a whole household. Like, that's a second business, the way I see it.
But even at that, when we were growing up, mm-hmm. we had a room that we played in. Everybody had the toy room, pretty much, their playrooms. Mm-hmm. That's where the kids go to play. So the kids aren't, all over the place, the toys on the floor. So that's how, we manage that.
Listen, in closing, this is what I want y'all to do. I want you, Charles, to tell me, and I know you very well, I want you to tell me what have you learned and what are your takeaways from Morathi? And there has to be some. Has your eyes been open to anything? that maybe they were closed to before.
I understand what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I understand completely everything that he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is the reality of this world. My taxes just went up. My car insurance just went up. I can't stop working and then go get a 4-year degree. The reality of this world is that things change, especially financially in this country.
Mm-hmm.
It's been so up and down lately that 2 people can get further ahead than 1 person.
Okay.
And when I say about paying off the mortgage, there's a YouTube channel called Invisible People. He interviews a whole bunch of homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
They have people getting kicked out of their apartments or their homes because their homes aren't paid off at 76 years old. Can you imagine being 76 years old getting put on the street?
Mm-mm.
And it's because they didn't make the correct financial decisions when they were younger. So I always tell my nephew, the younger you have to look out for the older you. The younger couple has to look out for the older couple. So what you do now, you put money away because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know there may be another pandemic right around the corner. You may get laid off your job for no reason at all. And if you're renting, they can kick you out for no reason.
Right.
So the younger you has to prepare for the older you. That's my main thing. And it's better if you're with somebody, it's a lot better for both of you to have a future goal than for just one person to take on that task.
And Morathi, what are your closing thoughts? And have you learned anything or had any takeaways from Charles?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You made a lot of great points. Far as, the reality of what we're dealing with here in this society. You know what I mean? So I get that. I've always, because on both sides of my families, you know what I'm saying? I came from, especially on my dad's side of the family, I came from a lineage of Moors. And so my aunts were the top Avon sellers, you know what I'm saying? My uncles and them, whether they were street hustlers or doing whatever, they were the best at what they done. So my perspective of how I look at things from a even a workforce standpoint is totally different. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I never, because I understand how the society works, I know that if I was working a 9 to 5, my mama could die tomorrow. And after 3 days, they want me back at that job. Right? They're not giving me no time to grieve like that. So I can't even rely on them to put me in that situation. Right? So I'm always, even if I was in a position where I was, if I was working a 9 to 5, I'm always going to be, I got to take my gifts and my God-given gifts that I know that I can, and I got to be able to do something with that because I can only rely on me at the end of the day. I can't even rely on the job. You get what I'm saying? Because they can fire you at any time, any given day. You could die tomorrow, and they're gonna replace you in 2 weeks. So I would much rather if I'm gonna come to the table and I'm gonna talk about really doing a plan. The first thing I'm saying is that, we can't rely on these white folk. We already seen they will fire your ass in a heartbeat and replace you. So what else can we do to be able to bring some more finances to the table?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Because of how they operate and how they do things.
Right.
So I'm clear that the brother Charles, if he was in a relationship, he's going to say, look, we can get further going ahead, right? So that doesn't mean that you got to work and do and make the same amount of money that I make. But if you were making something on the side to be able to pull this and pull that, we're still getting further along. I get that. You get what I'm saying? And I'm saying that in my world that I'm in, that that's exactly what she's going to do. She's going to help me to elevate in my world, and she's going to elevate at the same exact time. Because in my world, we pay our sons and our nieces and nephews to run the event. They do the cleaning, they pick up, they get paid. You get what I'm saying? They're learning generational wealth. I'm already telling them, yo, this is gonna be y'all's one day. I'm gonna be gone. So I'm teaching them generational wealth from a total different standpoint, because I don't want them going in. We've already seen the reality of that. We go to school for 4 years, 5 years, and we come home and we the ones that ain't got no goddamn job. But the white kids that I went to school with, the dads that were plumbers, that they were AC, air conditioned. Harold Johnson, he did that. One of my best friends, Jason Johnson, he just took it over. His dad just retired. There's a certain type of structure that they had in place to be able to pass something down, that they relied on them more than they had to rely on the 9 to 5. And that's the way I would kind of look at it from a standpoint. You kind of get where I'm coming from? That
makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. I love this because I'm going to tell you what I see. And I had a episode last week with my brother, and I'm gonna tell you what I love, what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing. I see two strong Black men who, at the end of the day, their goal is financial freedom and generational wealth. And even if you're going towards those goals at two different directions, I think it's just amazing to see the conversation, to see the intelligence, to see, just Black men who can and who are. I want to see that more so like on my screens. And I'm just like, I'm very honored to have both of y'all on here. I think it was just such a great example of two people that have two different opinions, but was able to just have a conversation, a healthy conversation, and hopefully, I don't know about Charles, but hopefully walk away with a difference of opinion. I think this is so great. I think I definitely want to have both of y'all back, because I can already see in the comments there's going to be a lot going on. So there's definitely going to have to be a part 2 to this. Listen, Morathi, do you want to talk about anything that you have coming up down the pipeline? I know you got a lot.
Yes. We are solely into Vegan Vibe music series, where we just did our very first one, which was jazz. That's happening out at 8821 Armor Cow Brewery out there for JW Clay. So our second one coming up will be June 2nd, and then they'll flow every other week. So it's about family, it's about unity, safe environment, security. So anybody that wants to come out, they can come out and really, really enjoy themselves and get more of an understanding of what the plant-based vegan lifestyle is, and to taste some really, really good food. But more than anything, being a family reunion atmosphere where kids can run free and you can just relax.
Sense of community. I love that. Charles, how about you?
I work. I work a regular job.
Okay. Go ahead.
I do want to say this.
Yeah.
I think the biggest difference between he and I, we're coming from two different perspectives.
Right.
I'm coming from employed or employee, and he's coming from an employer. So I think that's the biggest difference.
Agree.
In the conversation.
I agree. I love it.
Yes, but it's all respected. It's all respected.
All respect, brother.
What I do know is that you're a man's man, and you're a brother's brother. And
yes,
and you know to say that you're the protector, that says a lot.
Yeah.
Because a lot brothers don't even understand that. And I think we're in the I'm 46. I think what's your age?
I'm 47.
47. So we're in the same. We saw what it looked like. You get what I'm saying? We were the generation that they were watching us out the windows to make sure we were doing the right thing. And the only reason why you or I would step up to say, okay, I'm gonna take my nephew and make sure that my nephew is getting this, and for me to say I'll take my sons, is because we know what that looks like in order for them to be correct. So I respect you. I love that. And I honor you for that.
We all saluting. I'm sorry, but I gotta close. I always think about when I was in Lowe's, y'all. I know y'all don't want to hear this, but when I was in Lowe's, I had just bought my townhome and the refrigerator broke. I couldn't hang stuff, and I called Charles. I will forever be indebted. you because I was literally in the Isle of Lows, so overwhelmed. I couldn't get no signal, sitting there crying, and Charles came to my rescue. And I always say he gonna make somebody a really good husband one day because he can cook, he can do everything. So I gotta just put it out there. But listen, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of That's Scary with Meloney P. Morathi, Charles, again, thank you. I cannot wait to do this again. And we will see you guys in the next episode.